So you probably heard about the lights going out, right? Across Spain, Portugal, even parts of France just recently.
Oh, yeah, big news. And almost straight away, the finger started pointing at renewables.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Was it solar? Was it wind? That was the immediate question everyone seemed to ask.
Right. And that's what we've been digging into, looking at the expert analysis to figure out what really happened, not just the headlines.
Good, because we want to get past those first assumptions.
Yeah.
What's the actual story here, and maybe what does it tell us about, where energy is heading?
Precisely. That's the mission for this deep dive.
Okay, let's jump in then. What we found is, well, that's pretty interesting. It seems it wasn't really a failure of solar power itself.
Not directly, no. The analysis suggests it was more about the power grid. Its inability to handle a really fast change in supply.
A fast change. How fast are we talking?
We're talking solar generation. Get this. Plummeting from 18 gigawatts.
Wow, 18 gigawatts.
Yeah, down to under 5 gigawatts, and this happened in just like a bit over an hour.
That's a huge drop. Huge.
It really is. But the key thing, the really critical factor, was that the grid just wasn't set up for that kind of shock, that suddenness.
Okay, so the grid couldn't keep pace. Why not?
Yeah.
What makes it so vulnerable to that kind of swing?
Well, it gets into a bit of physics, actually. You see, traditional power plants, they have these big, heavy spinning turbines.
Right, like in coal or gas plants.
Exactly. And those spinning parts create something called inertia. It's like stored energy, a kind of physical momentum in the system.
Okay, like a buffer. It keeps things stable.
Precisely. It helps smooth out little fluctuations. But current solar panels and wind turbines, too, they don't generate power that way. They don't have that inherent built-in inertia.
Ah, I see. So no natural shock absorber.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So when that massive amount of solar power just dropped off the grid so quickly,
Yeah.
the system lost stability. It didn't have that buffer. And that instability triggered a cascade failure. It disconnected from the French grid.
Leading to the blackouts across Spain and Portugal.
Exactly. And because Spain exports power, Portugal got hit hard too.
So it's less the sun went behind a cloud and more the system couldn't handle the speed of the change, like trying to push broadband speeds through old phone lines.
That's a good analogy, actually, yeah. The potential is there, but the infrastructure can't cope with the dynamics.
And that points to a bigger issue, doesn't it? Investment.
Absolutely. It highlights this, well, the significant imbalance. We're pouring money into generating renewable energy, which is great, obviously. Think $500 billion globally on solar this year alone.
Fantastic numbers for clean energy.
Right. But the investment in the grids, making them smart, resilient, able to handle this variability, that's lagging behind. Only about $400 billion globally.
So more money on generation than on the delivery system needed to handle it creates a bottleneck.
Totally. And it's not just us saying it. The International Energy Agency, the IEA, they've put out warnings. They reckon Europe could face something like $260 billion in losses just from grid congestion by 2030 if things aren't upgraded.
260 billion euros.
Yeah.
That's a serious warning.
It really puts it into perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah. And this Spanish situation, it's not totally unique, is it? I remember reading about the Dunkelflaut thing, too.
Ah, yes. The dark doldrums in Northern Europe. Those periods, sometimes days, with very little sun and very little wind.
Right. It kind of highlights the same challenge, doesn't it? Relying heavily on sources that aren't constant. Well, you need something else.
Exactly. You need robust infrastructure. You need smart grids that can manage flows dynamically, and critically, you need storage. Batteries, lots of them, to smooth out those dips and store the peaks.
So the core issue isn't the renewables, it's the system around them.
That's the takeaway, really. This blackout wasn't proof that solar doesn't work. It was, let's say, a very loud signal about the urgent need to modernize the grid, build the infrastructure to support the energy sources we're increasingly relying on.
We need the grid to be as advanced as the energy generation feeding into it.
You got it. It needs to be smart, flexible, and resilient, able to handle both the massive peaks from renewables and, crucially, the sudden troughs.
Okay, so wrapping this up, the Spanish blackout. Less about solar failing, more about an outdated grid struggling with the new dynamics of renewable energy.
A stark reminder, really.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Which makes you think, as we push harder and faster towards renewables globally, what other, maybe less obvious infrastructure challenges are waiting for us? What are those potential blind spots we really need to get ahead of now to ensure, the lights actually stay on?